Well, hello, my name is State Senator Jason Rapert, and I just wanted to provide some commentary and some reflections upon a poll that I posted just a little bit under 24 hours ago. Actually, today is July the 17th, 2019, and I am in Washington, D.C. As a credentialed participant at the Ministerial to Advance Religious Freedom at the State Department. And we have been here with over 130 nations having representation at this meeting. We were advised by our Ambassador for Religious Freedom, former Governor Brownback, that they say this is the largest gathering of its kind in world history to advance religious freedom. Over 1,000 participants representing those 130 nations. And I was proud to be here as a state senator from the state of Arkansas, someone who has led humanitarian mission teams into Ghana, West Africa, to be able to visit with people from all over the world who face difficulties that many people in the United States have personally never experienced before. But I come today first to say that this is a video that I'm posting as a response and commentary to a bit of a poll that I had placed yesterday. And what's interesting is that this has turned out just exactly as I expected it to. As a matter of fact, I knew when I posted the poll, I posted the question, which is at the top of this thread that you're now reading, which says, which political party do you prefer to govern the United States of America? Well, and there was a simple two responses, Democrat or Republican. And those responses, obviously, I knew in the first few hours of the poll that it would be more representative of the conservative and the Christians and others that actually follow my page, which I have about 26,000 followers on this particular page. I have to use this page because I can't accept more than 5,000 requests on the regular Facebook page that most people start with. And so many years ago, I also started up this page, which allows me to have more people interact with me, obviously. And so now between my different social media platforms, I have this Facebook page that you're seeing this video on. I also have Twitter accounts as well, and we've got various and sundry other things, but Facebook and Twitter are primarily those accounts. And so we've got over 9,000 out there on Twitter on one, and then another one has nearly 3,000. So as you know, we've got well over 30,000 people on any given day that are following our posts and our tweets, and we appreciate that interaction. But I posted this because obviously I have a political science degree amongst other parts of my education. That was the fundamental undergraduate degree that I have. And I posted this poll, very simple. Which do you prefer, Democrat or Republican? Well, as I say, in the first few hours of the poll, that trended very, very heavily to the Republicans. In fact, up until a few hours ago, it was 88% Republican, 12% Democrat. Well, we know that's not obviously the full makeup of the electorate here in the nation across the 50 states. And so what I knew probably would happen, and this is absolutely why that I find it interesting that the Democrats have played right into my hand, and the leftists that you have been seeing post some very rude and hateful comments towards me and then to each other. It wasn't long before, obviously, because of my strong stands and because of the policies that I support, which are traditional American values, also believe fundamentally in the Judeo-Christian foundation of our nation. And as you see on this video, I've been involved with other lawmakers around the country forming the National Association of Christian Lawmakers, which, by the way, we are introducing the International Association of Christian Lawmakers, because of so many requests that we've had to do that. And we'll be rolling that out as well. We're very excited about it. But what did happen on this particular poll is that the leftists decided to virally share this poll so that they could tilt the poll toward the Democrat Party. Now you'll note that I put this out there, and it's actually 7 days. The poll will end in 6 days from right now when I'm actually making this video response. But actually, it's not even been a full 24 hours since the poll posted. And now it is totally switched, and it now shows 76% Democrat, 24% Republican. But what's interesting is there have been 8.2 thousand votes cast on this simple poll that cost me nothing to put on Facebook. And it's now been virally shared. I did not boost the post. You've got 547 comments on it, and you've got 30,000 people who have been reached. Now that's just when I took a snapshot of this poll just a few moments ago. But now when you go back and I look at it now, it is 392 different people have shared this with their networks, 549 comments, and you've got 30,991 organic reach on this. And it's a simple poll, so that means that everybody that saw it read it. And those that interacted with that have come to my page where you're reading this now. Well, I grew up on the farm in rural Arkansas, and we know that when we go fishing, that when we cast a line, that we will bait the hook, and we will cast our line out into the water and wait and see what bites. And so frankly, this poll has done exactly what I intended it to do, and it has drawn in people from all over who have come to this particular site. And now they're listening to this response, this video response. And they also have taken time, and they have probably gone to other posts here on my site. They have read some of the postings that I've made. They may have gone out to christianlawmakers.com to find out what Christian Lawmakers is all about. They now are going out to take a look at the Twitter feed at Christ Lawmakers, and they're now taking time to find out what the National Association of Christian Lawmakers is all about. And they actually have fulfilled everything I expected out of the poll. You've created a significant amount of traffic to my page. You have created a significant amount of activity on my page, and my page now is showing up in threads all over the world that it never showed up in before. And I hope that many of you, if you're listening and you've listened to this far, that you actually will follow my page, and I'd love to hear from you. I love to interact with you. And here's the message that I've got, and I want all of you to listen to this, and it's from the bottom of my heart. You and I and everyone in this world has a lot more in common than we have that differentiates us. But we have fallen prey in this media crazy world that we live in. We have fallen prey to the fact that our media has amplified the things that divide us. There are very few things, but they absolutely have. You see, as I mentioned earlier, I am here with over 1,000 participants from over 130 organized nations in the world, and there are actually only at the time approximately 195 nations organized politically around the world on our earth today. Most of the nations, and definitely the largest nations, have representation here at the Ministerial to Advance Religious Freedom. And I want to thank Secretary of State Pompeo and Ambassador Brownback for all that they have done to make this possible. It is important. And what's happening here is pretty exciting. What is happening here is that the peace-loving people around the world that want to see true peace, mutual respect, and cooperation to occur have come together in Washington, D.C. at this ministerial. And we've met for 3 days straight. We've heard from national and international leaders, local leaders, people you've never even heard of. But the way that the ministerial started out was significant. The very first day, we heard from a Jewish rabbi, a Muslim imam, and a Christian. And we heard from them about an experience that I hope that none of you listening to this ever go through. But unfortunately, in the world that we live in, I know that it's very possible that you could go through this. The first man, the Jewish rabbi, was the rabbi of the synagogue or the temple in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where a madman went in, motivated by hatred, and killed 11 people in cold blood while they worshiped in their synagogue. The ultimate level of hatred. Somebody motivated, no doubt, by their anti-Semitic views. I am a very close friend to many Jewish people. I have been to Israel myself, and I love the Jewish people with all of my heart. And these acts that kill innocent people are horrible. So we first heard from the Jewish rabbi. Then we heard from the Muslim imam of the mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand, where earlier this year, just a few months ago, a man went in with an automatic weapon, or at least a semi-automatic weapon, but he went in with a rifle, a high-powered rifle, and I believe he killed 51 people in cold blood in that mosque. People that were there having no idea what was about to happen in one of the absolute most peaceful nations in the world, in New Zealand, a place where people thought this could never happen here. Nothing like this could ever happen. I don't know personally all the motivations behind the shooter at Christchurch, whether he was just a demented person or he had intentionally chosen them for that, but it was an act of hatred. And he went in and he shot, and I watched and actually listened as this imam explained that his wife was killed in cold blood, many friends and family, and he said that he had to drive then after that happened to pick up their daughter and to tell the daughter that her mother was never coming home. Hatred. I then listened to a survivor from Sri Lanka, a survivor of what is called the Easter Massacre in Sri Lanka, where multiple bombs were set off intentionally to bomb churches all over that nation on Easter Sunday. As I recall the numbers, over 250 people were killed that day in Sri Lanka. Muslim activists, extremists that is, were the ones responsible for that killing, radicalized. And out of their hatred, on one of the most holy days of the Christian faith, the day that we celebrate Jesus rising again from the dead, they just decided to bomb those churches and to kill them. Over 500 people were wounded in that massacre. And I want to share all of this with you because as I have seen some of your hate-filled posts that you've posted on this page over the past several hours and the ridicule that you have poured upon each other, I weep for you and everyone that behaves this way. Is this the way that you want your children to behave? Some of you make perfectly wonderful posts. You make good posts. You provide good feedback. But I knew what would happen on this particular thread, and that is that it would be shared amongst activists. And I believe in speaking the truth. Many of you are, in so many words, you are also radicalized. You've become so radicalized in your support for leftist policies that you attack anyone that doesn't believe exactly like you believe. You see, I don't attack people for not believing the way that I choose to believe in my faith or my worldview. My approach is to share my worldview. And on this page, it is my page, and I share my worldview about any number of things. I'm an ordained minister of the gospel. I was an ordained minister before I ever got into politics. I'm a businessman. I actually ran an investment firm, managed money for a living, did that my entire career, worked for major regional and also national wirehouse firms, owned my own business, sold a business, managed over $40 million in assets for individuals when I sold that business to sacrifice myself in the arena of public service to try to make my state and our country and our world a better place. What I did not realize when I entered the political arena in 2010, that I was entering at a time when this nation, my country, was about to explode with some of the most intense political hatred that we've seen in decades in our country, many, many years. And simply because I am a Christian and I believe in the sanctity of life and believe personally that according to God's word that it is a sin to take innocent life, I stand up for all life from the moment of conception until death. I believe in caring and loving for people. But because of that, the ACLU activists, Planned Parenthood, and many of these liberal leftist activists will come at me with tremendous hatred. And that hatred and the things that they say is meant to affect what people would think of me that don't know me personally. And they want people to think ill of me. They want people to castigate me. They want people to show hatred towards me, and they think that by doing so that they would change my mind or someone else's mind, and absolutely they do not. I believe in marriage between one man and one woman. In the Bible, God said that he made Adam and Eve, and he brought them together to be man and wife. I believe in marriage. It so happens that the Jewish tradition and even the Islamic tradition, as you know, Islam and Judaism and Christianity are called the Abrahamic faith. These are all three faiths that absolutely share some common history. But what's been happening is that radicalization, people that have wanted to prey on others have taken those faith traditions at times and they've weaponized those traditions. And we know many have been killed, millions throughout history, because of people that decided to weaponize what God would never approve of with his existence. And so I just wanted to share with you as I just look at the results of what's going on this thread. And I think how surreal it is to be here with peace-loving people, mature, honest. Though they have different faiths, we've been able to commune with each other in a peaceful manner and rally around the fact that one of the most precious rights that any individual has given by God is freedom of religion and freedom of thought and conscience. And what we see is that in all of these nations around the world, there are people that fear that you might think differently than they do. And when that gets out of control, it ends up with persecution. And there I was with those three people, Jewish, Islamic, and Christian, and hearing that their friends and family were murdered by people that simply had a hatred towards them because what they believed in their own heart, their own spirit. And I say here today, it's got to stop. And why that has to stop and why it is important is because it's evil incarnate. And I will tell you also that if you are one listening and you have been engaging in hateful rhetoric, you understand the mind, individuals' minds are the battlefield. And that your hateful rhetoric, you might think it is a joke. You might think it is just trying to be brash. You're just trying to shock people when you say things. But you understand, some people will read what you write and they'll take action on your horrible words. As many of you know, on this page we have had people, it was just reported to me a few days ago, someone had written a horrible threat, said they would like to kill me and do other things to my body in front of my family and make them watch that. And they posted that on this page. It's a crime what they did. It was a death threat. It's harassment. It's terroristic threatening. And it incites people to violence. Why did they do that? They said they were a militant LGBTQ member. So that tells me that because I believe in Romans chapter 1, where God says that it is a sin to engage in homosexuality, they don't want to allow me my own belief. And so because of their utter hatred for that, they issued a death threat against me. What kind of people are we, I ask you? What kind of person are you that's listening to this message? Are you part of the problem? Or do you really want to be an answer? You see, the answer is that you should be comfortable enough in your beliefs that you can listen to other people when they have a different belief, a different faith, a different worldview, a different political preference. You can listen to that, learn from it, and test your own beliefs in listening, and be confident in your belief, in your faith, or your political preference. If you are only comfortable when you're the loudest voice in the room, you're really not comfortable at all. You're insecure. And so anyway, as you can tell, this little exercise in this poll has been an absolute exercise in political opinion, and I've seen that, but it also has been an opportunity for me to see if people would behave as expected, and the leftists and the Democrats did. They saw this as an opportunity. It was interesting to me. They could be doing any number of things. They could be reading a wonderful book. They could be writing in a journal. They could be enjoying their family. They could be enjoying their friends. They could be reading the Bible. They could be doing any number of productive things, but no, they've spent hours sharing this post around and feeling like they're really accomplishing something by mocking others. It's really unusual. And so in doing that, as I say, as I close my comments here, I figured that's exactly what would happen. And so today, you have now heard my response and hopefully listened intently to what I said, that we've got to find a better path. We've got to stop this fussing and this fighting with each other, and remember that we've got a lot more in common. See, you've engaged in my fishing expedition here, and tens of thousands of people have responded to this fishing expedition, and some of them, and I hope even most of them, will listen to what I say in this recorded message. Because this afternoon, I got to sit down personally with the imam that had all of his parishioners killed, his members killed at Christ Church, or 51 of them, excuse me. He lost his wife. I shook the man's hand today, and I told him that I was very touched by his comments. And I realize he is a peaceful man. He is a peaceful Muslim. And he said some of the very same things that I'm saying to you now. Why do we allow this evil to grow around the world? Why do we allow extremists to push people to kill others in cold blood? I shook his hand. We hugged each other. We talked. I told him I would pray for him and his family. He's now in a wheelchair. And he said he would pray for me. Two men. I'm a white man. He's a brown man. He's a father. I'm a father. He was a husband. I am a husband. He has different faith beliefs than I, but if you cut both of us today, underneath our skin, each of us would bleed red. And it's the same all over the world. No matter our skin colors, our height differences, our features, we bleed red. Because all of that blood leads back to the first man and the first woman, Adam and Eve. And whether we like it or not, or you like it or not, and you accept what I say, the very root of all of us, we are all brothers and sisters in the beginning. And I am praying that we would have more respect for each other, that we would have more love for each other, and we would start treating people with more respect. And that's right here in your community, your state, your nation, and yes, even on Facebook, even on Twitter, and online. If you don't have something good to say, you just might decide you shouldn't say it at all. And you have no right to personally attack people. You wouldn't get away with it if you were in high school or grade school, and you shouldn't get away with it now. God bless you, And I hope we've all learned something through this. Have a good night.